As I go about documenting my experiences with dance on my channel, I really try to make a deliberate effort to acknowledge my accomplishments. Ballet is such a technical and detailed art that it's really easy to get bogged down with the never-ending list of imperfections. There's always something for a dancer to improve. So I try my best to be positive. But every now and then, you run into an imperfection that you just can't ignore if you want to achieve your goal of becoming better at ballet. This happened to me over my last month with my Soutenus. So I'm going to tell you about my confrontation with Soutenus and what it taught me about learning new things. My last month was actually pretty good. I was coming along and working on areas that need improvement. And usually when I take class or I practice, if I record the session, I would look back and see how I did. So some of the good points that I noticed is that it seems as though maybe I'm picking up combinations a little bit more easily, something that I've been working on. And I think my turnout is improving. And I was happy to see that my on-the-dawn pirouettes, it's actually a high point over my last month because I am usually intimidated by these turns. So I'll tell you that story another day. But the thing about taking video of yourself dancing, it can be fun, but it can also be torture, a little bit of torture at the same time, because when you look back at the footage, you see every single flaw, every little shuffling of your feet, anything that is not refined, every flaw, whether it be big or small, it just like pops out at you. You know, the video is merciless. It can be a really humbling experience because there you are thinking that you're doing everything correctly. And when you look back at the video, no. So yeah, this is what happened with this turn, Soutenus. I mean, it's a pretty basic, I guess a pretty standard turn as far as ballet goes. It's not one of the more complicated turns that you learn. And I would think it's one of the turns that you would learn pretty early on in training. But if you miss the lesson on Soutenus, you know, you can go on to try a lot more complicated things without ever really getting a good handle on how to do it. And so the video, my footage last month showed me I have a problem. I actually think this revelation was a highlight of my last month. Yes, even though it's embarrassing to see these horrible turns, I think I can take them as moments of growth. Like most people, I have an aversion to failure. I like to feel that everything that I do is a success, you know? So where it comes to my dancing, I like to see the video of me dancing at my best. Those are encouraging to me. But the truth is, when you think about it, you know, you don't learn new things by being good at them. You learn new things by sucking at them, at least at first. I figure that if I didn't stop and recognize that I wasn't doing well at this turn, I'll probably just carry on doing messy and inconsistent turns. And so it's a principle that I've thought, you know what, you really can apply this to life in general. I've been trying a lot of new things lately, and I've taken some big steps, especially this spring. With every new venture that I try, there's some discomfort because of the possibility of failure, you know? And it's something that I have been thinking about a lot with all of these new things that I've been trying. And I feel I can apply the same approach that I take with Soutenus to every new venture in life, and just take that possibility of failure, as the first step towards growth. So once I stopped hiding from my Soutenus challenges, my next order of business was to actually hunker down and learn how to do the step. And I guess I would say that this is probably the second part in learning something new. And for me, this is the fun part, because I enjoy learning new things, especially new dance steps. And so for me, it was a really big relief to know that there's actually a method that I can follow that would result in consistent, beautiful Soutenus. I got some instruction in class from my teacher, Julie, at Brush Ballet. And she's probably noticed that they need some work too. And once I got my lesson on Soutenus, it made an immediate difference. And this is really great because Soutenus are everywhere in ballet. And so it improves my dancing in general. I also tried several YouTube tutorials made by people who are experts in Soutenus, and I'll link some of my favorites in the description box. For those of you who are working on your turns, or maybe you just want to try it out. It's really empowering, actually, to have a method when you're learning to do something and know how to do it. So after some repetition, I got to see things that were making my turns easier. For example, keeping my pelvis sort of tucked and pushing myself high onto my toes. That helped quite a bit. And just, remembering not to panic, because with turns, there's a sort of a panic that can set in when you feel like you don't know what you're doing, or you're not comfortable with what you're doing. And that tension definitely makes things more difficult. So just keeping focused on the steps, the method that I mentioned before, and remembering what you are trying to achieve. So that's the unfortunate part of learning something new. Just because you know how to do it, it doesn't mean that you're able to do it, right? The process of learning, it takes time. It does take some time to learn. And I think of this as the third phase of learning something new. So like with my Soutenus, for example, it's going to take me some time to work on the coordination and my alignment and my timing, and practice and practice until I get it right, until it becomes habitual then. And what I've been doing in order to do this is, when I'm in class, I try to be mindful of what my feet are doing when I'm called to do a Soutenus in choreography. And also I take some time, maybe out of class, to do dedicated practice. That is where I run into the next hurdle in my learning process, and that is discipline. Because it's very easy for me to get distracted from my goal and maybe go off and work on something else new, or when life gets crazy, you just lose the routine. It happens to me all the time. And so, like for example, this last month I caught a cold and my practice routine completely fell off the rails. But when it happens, I really try my best not to beat myself up over it too much, because when you think about it, discipline is a skill too, and like other skills, it can be learned. And once learned, it becomes habitual. You can make it habitual by practice. So in the process of learning Soutenus, I applied discipline, and I learned discipline by practicing Soutenus. And then both of them become habitual with practice. So they reinforce one another. I think it's also really empowering to remember that this is true of any new thing that I'm trying to learn. So what about you? I mean, how do you go about learning something new? And what are you struggling to learn right now in ballet or in the discipline that you're working on? And what are you learning in the process? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear. So this is some of what I've been reflecting on and working on over the last month. It hasn't all been easy, for sure, but it's been good. It's been good. I also have been working on some choreography, which I meant to share in the spring, but it's looking like it's going to be more of a summer post. Life got a bit busy there, but I'm going to try and make that happen as soon as I can. I invite you to subscribe and hit the notification bell to know when I've accomplished my mission and to know when I share more content on the channel. So it's been a real pleasure sharing with you, as always. Thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you love, peace, and success wherever you are on the journey of life. See you next time. Bye.